Welcome to Anything to Keep From Working. I'm your host, Anton. Today we're talking to Phil J. Brooks, actor, comedian, entrepreneur. Interesting dude. We have a few things in common, but without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, you can follow me on Instagram at The World Is a Mirror. And if you want more links and more info about anything on this podcast, check out theanythingshow.com. Look in the show notes.
So, like, you want, like, no cursing or,
No, this is, like, all legit.
All right, just real shit.
Yeah, I mean, I like podcasts. The thing about a podcast is, like, you really feel like you're in the room chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, how long were you in New York before you moved out to LA?
3 years. I think I moved out here end of 2013.
Okay, so the economy was already like back good in general.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my economy was regular. You know, the economy as a whole didn't affect me as much because I wasn't in the work and I just graduated college.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I just finished up my MBA, so I didn't. I wasn't in the workforce. I was in sales at the time, so I mean.
What do you specialize with in your MBA program?
I did marketing management.
Okay.
Yeah, and undergrad was international business. I didn't know what I wanted to do in school, but I figured whatever business I was going to do was definitely going to be international one day. So
you did your undergrad where?
Goldie Beacom College in Wilmington, Delaware. One of those schools where you got to mention where it is after you say the name. A real small school, but it's got all the accreditations and stuff.
Okay.
That, all the other colleges have.
You were living around there, I'm guessing.
Nah, so what happened was when I was in high school, I was like one of those cocky basketball players that's like, I'm going to go to school for free, play ball and shit. So I ended up going to school in Tiffin, Ohio at Tiffin University for my first scholarship. And
what position did you play?
It's forward.
Okay.
Forward, small forward, power forward. And my coach was horrible. We were 2-24, the worst. We were probably the worst college team in Division II ever. I don't know. So he lost his job, and then we lost our scholarships because they were only required to keep the upperclassmen scholarships. We had to retry out, and I was not about to retry out to stay in Tiffin, Ohio. So I found a school that had wanted me before in Delaware, closer to my home in Maryland, the D.C. Part of Maryland.
Got it.
Yeah. You know the DMV area, right?
Yeah.
You know about
It's pretty classic, man. Yeah. But so what part of Maryland did you grow up in?
PG County.
Okay.
Yeah. PG County, like the Bowie Mitchellville area, which is funny because that area is like known for like these dudes that try to act gangsta or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Because we grew up in nice areas, and, you know, it was like our parents got out the hood, you know what I'm saying, and then the children our age want to rep it.
Want to stunt.
Right.
So the area is what, like, it's like suburban or like? Yeah,
it's like a upper middle class African American community. It's definitely white folks there, but it's like I was looking back on it, living in like New York now and LA and stuff. It was definitely the majority black, and I didn't realize that's how the world wasn't until I moved out to Ohio. I was like, holy shit, the only black people here are the basketball team and the football team.
Wow.
You seen a brother, you know he played a sport. You know what I'm saying? It's just like crazy, because what do the people who live there think?
No, but so you was like a bunch of like tall black dudes around a bunch of white girls who had never seen black dudes in their life?
They only on MTV, maybe they had seen us, and we hadn't seen them either. I remember the day I'm looking around like, holy, like, not like at a zoo, you know what I'm saying, but like, we can't like blend in. Nope, like we're like the black guys at the party for sure. You know what I'm saying?
The only time let me see, like, kind of was aware of that. I mean, because I've lived between New York City and Miami. So those are generally like melting pots, you know what I mean? Or
right.
Not even melting pot's not a good word. They're more like salads. You just have a lot of different stuff in one place.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a better description. It's definitely not. It's definitely still mini segregated here, but it's definitely nice. They're little culture pockets or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I went. This is my cousin had a bachelor's weekend in Connecticut, of all places, right?
Yikes.
It was actually pretty nice because we went to this like really modern Airbnb, like floor to ceiling glass home in the woods in New Haven, right?
Okay.
So great view, like multiple fireplaces, like luxury crib, right? But we, like on the second day, we went to like a wine tasting at a country club or something.
Oh shit.
Bro, we walked in there. It was, okay, so my cousin's half Filipino. I got another cousin who's fully Haitian, but he looks half white, right? Like he looks like somebody off the Disney Channel. And me, and then like maybe like 5, 6 Filipino dudes, right? And the only white person in our crew was African.
African.
He's from South Africa. But we walked in this shit, and it was, it looked like Mitt Romney's family reunion, right?
Oh shit.
So like everybody turned and looked at us and we smiled, whatever, and then like they ended up sitting us to like, I'm not gonna say that they sat us in the back, but like it was like an outdoor seating area.
Right.
So we were out there with another whatever table or something like that. So I think it was more comfortable for everybody that way. You know what I'm saying?
I know. So did everybody like turn their heads simultaneously when y'all walked into the?
It wasn't too abrupt, but it was like pretty clear.
That head turn sometimes like.
So okay, so let me ask you something. Like growing up, what do you want to be? Like, do you think you could make it to the NBA, or did you have like an idea of what?
Yeah, that was definitely the goal for everybody in my area.
Yeah.
We actually do produce the most NBA players. Like,
Maryland?
real talk. Yeah, New York we're both up there.
New York is more like guards, right?
Yeah, because of the obvious landscaping reasons, you know.
Right.
Yeah, New York is great guards, and Jersey got a little too.
I think like Florida and Texas have so many guys who like play football too, that like you have like more robust athletes who can like be in those like bigger power positions.
Everything from the weather to the food caters to football in the South.
Right.
You know, out here the landscape definitely caters to basketball. You know, because it's not like we have space to play baseball or whatever. My area a little more than New York to play baseball and stuff, but. Basketball, you know, was the go-to. So we wanted to go to the NBA. I wanted to go to the NBA. I realized I wasn't going to the NBA in 11th grade. Mm-hmm. Up until 11th, I was definitely, if you mentioned players, I was ranked in my county as a freshman. So that's one of the steps you need to be on to be league bound. And the people I played with are in the league now. My high school teammates in the league, you know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like athleticism is one thing, but like had you been put in the right programs, like with the right sort of tutelage and drilling and everything else at the right ages, that you might have been able to make it?
Oh, for sure. I have the chemical makeup to be a successful NBA player. The reason I didn't go is because I didn't have the tools, all of the tools. My mom didn't even care about basketball. She took me out of practice one time to go get a haircut for Christmas pictures. So like my coach is, you know what I'm saying, even if I was the best player on the team, he's going to be pissed and I wasn't the best player on the team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just a mini story there. Yeah.
So what about like as far as entertainment, like stand up, acting?
So I didn't want to do stand up. Well, who wouldn't want to be a fucking movie star or whatever, you know? But that was never really like a vision of mine. Really, I was doing the sensible thing, like get that education. Like my mom used to drill being an architect because I could draw really good, and I would have did that. I was trying to get in Syracuse architecture program, but I didn't get into it. I was going to transfer after my freshman year and like walk on, but I didn't get into the program. But I think that the tool, the drive. I fucking lost my placing, honestly.
It was about entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment. My bad. I was going back to the first question. But yeah, entertainment wasn't my goal until like I got to college, and then I realized that people did enjoy the jokes I made and really kept suggesting that I should get on stage. And you're like, you got to be somewhat of a, what is the word, narcissist?
Attention whore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Narcissist too. Yeah, probably.
and confident as fuck to even do something like that. And it's like, yeah, I think I'm a decent looking person. Girls like that I'm tall and stuff, and so like I feel like I could get up there and do it, but it's like I couldn't really. You gotta have some confidence for that shit. And so it wasn't until I went and actually saw people that were everyday people step up there and do it, and I'm like, well, I could do that too then. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I wouldn't just be like, you know what, I'm about to step up here and make all you motherfuckers laugh.
Right. So you didn't have that like that bravado, like you weren't overconfident about it in the beginning.
I was very much so nervous, and then we had a what do you call it, like an open mic, and I was just in the audience, and they all kind of sucked, and then half the people in the rows in front of me turned. I was like, "Oh, Phil said, yo, get on stage," and I'm like, "Nah." Like, "Nah, go on stage, come on." And then one of them was like, "Yeah, it's a $50 Visa gift card for winning the
You
joint."
were like $50.
It's $50. $50. Shit. I was like, yo, I fake laugh when we go into the bar after this.
Right.
Yo, so I got on stage and I think I made that joke and they started laughing. And once that first laugh hit, it came over me like, it's not like a huge room of people anymore. It's one audience. It's a singular thing now, and you're just having a conversation with that audience. And they're not really doing much talking. You know, but you could tell by the way that they respond and pull back or lean forward or laugh or silence. You know, you could tell those are their responses, and you just change the subject accordingly.
So I mean, as you put it, like who wouldn't want to be a movie star? Like, you know, to me, honestly, man, like, and it sounds crazy to say, but fame in itself, like. This shit kind of, to me, seems like a scary concept because, like, you remember back in the day, you ever seen Jay-Z's MTV, like when they used to do, like, you think you know but you have no idea?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Those
It was
were
like,
nice.
Right. It was like behind the music.
No, they used to say that on Cribs, I think. You think you know but you have
No,
no
it was MTV something else. It was a different MTV show where they follow the person around, like, their life. Right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
and so they followed Jay-Z, which was rare. Like, Jay-Z doesn't do many interviews, right?
Right.
But Jay was like, when he goes to like these club appearances, which now he doesn't do, but back then he did, he's like, you feel like a fish in a fishbowl. Like, when you go do autograph signings or you go sit in VIP for money or whatever,
right?
Like, everybody's staring at you, like they can't even control themselves, you know what I'm saying? And like,
right,
these people don't know you, whatever, right? But the other thing is, like, now we live in the era of social media where, like, people are ready to build you up and tear you down or do both at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is like, who's the girl, the Cash Me Outside chick, right? Like,
yeah, little redhead. People
are famous for just being able to get attention. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. As long as you're a spectacle, like, you sell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So let me ask you something. Like, if you could wave a magic wand,
right,
would you be like a little famous and have all the money you want to go do whatever you wanted, or just be rich and famous as fuck?
Honestly, I live life too reckless to be rich and famous as fuck. I would be in someone's courtroom. Like, you can't even pee in public after the club, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're Will Smith, you know, there will be tabloids everywhere. So, like, I honestly don't want that much attention, but because the moves that I'm going to make are going to, that's just part of the territory. I would love to be just only a celebrity to celebrities. That'd be awesome. Because then you'd have all the clout in the world to get into any spot, to sit at any table, to have any conversation, to, you know, that'd be fun. And common folk wouldn't harass you.
Like the dude who's like Kanye's business partner, like the dude who helped him with like his original shit, like the original Yeezys and all that. Like, he's somebody that probably like A-listers know, but for being around Kanye all the time, but like he could be sort of incognito.
Yeah, exactly. That would be love, you know. growing up, people used to always say, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, like, what you want to be? And I'm like, yo, I just want to be rich. Like, I'll drive a trash truck if it's going to give me enough money to invest and to have the money working for me so then I could not have to drive the trash truck no more.
What do you think sort of influenced that? Like, what did your mom do? And like, let me ask you something.
She told us we were broke at one point.
When you were like a small child, let's say like 8, I remember like the first thing I wanted to be was like a cop, like when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
And it's probably from watching like action movies or thinking that cops were like special, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, what are your earliest memories of like what you wanted to be? You know what I'm saying?
Shit, earliest memories. NBA, man, hooping, because the Wizards. I think I had seen the Wizards. One of them came to my school in middle school, and talked to us. This dude was tall as shit. I ain't never really seen. Like, I was tall as shit too. Like, I was like probably 6 feet in middle school.
Okay.
Maybe a little taller, like 6'1" or 2. And there wasn't many people I was looking up to. You know what I'm saying? And he got to talking, and he was just like, yeah, just saying how life is and how hard you got to work to get there. And I was like, shit, I'm getting in the gym. Like, you get to do what you want, drive what you want, go where you want, eat what you want. You know what I'm saying? You got to work hard for that, though. Real hard.
Now, you talked about, like, PG County. If you grew up in a place where... Like, you grew up in a place where there was a black majority, right? And it was mostly black and white. Was there, like, Hispanics in the area?
Yeah, there was definitely, like, Langley Park. Every place has, their what I'm going to call culture pockets, but it was a lot more prosperous black people in my area than anywhere else I've seen in the nation. Like, everywhere, every time I go into another, this the black area, I'm like, damn. So
you realize sort of like your mom, like, how'd you guys end up being there? Like, you were born there?
So, yeah, we were middle class, upper middle class. My mom was in the military. My grandfather's probably one of the most, like, he's up there in, like, the AARP. He's a Kappa. He's famous for Kappas and stuff. So he got a good life. He makes good money as an old guy too, like a lot of money. We grew up privileged, you know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't rich per se, because I'm not gonna say my mom was broke at all. Nah, we definitely live in a nice house. Everybody I met would call it a big house, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, to maintain that stuff after a divorce and all that, it's crazy. But that's how we got there, because my grandfather...
He did well.
Yeah, so his parents were coal miners, you know what I'm saying? And coal was getting money. In Bluefield, West Virginia is where we from.
Okay.
And so they were getting money. All of them, they had 9 brothers and sisters. All of them had cars as black people back in the... I don't want to say the year, but the year that coal mining was a thing.
It was booming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said they made a lot of money doing that. Like, you couldn't even spend... He said something like you couldn't even spend some of the money sometime because of rations or something at one point.
Oh,
that was the thing.
Yeah, because when
he was younger or something. I don't know.
No, during how old is he? Your grandfather?
My grandfather's 80.
He's pretty young.
5.
But no, so like during like World War II, you couldn't just buy shit, like even if you had the money for it, because they were saving the shit for the war.
Right.
So that might have been
when he was a child.
Right. That might have been what he thought, because that was like in the 30s. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. He was telling. He told me that was. He was.
He might have been like a late teenager at the time.
He had to been. I don't even know when he was born. 37, I want to say, or whatever.
I had a stepfather. He was born like 33, and he grew up in Nebraska in the Great Depression, where like you could buy 3 candies for a penny.
Sheesh.
So like he's of that, you know what I'm saying? Like he's of that age group.
Can't imagine like brokenness like that. Like I've always been like grunt. That's, oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine living in some of these other eras?
Yeah, you know something? What's funny? What's interesting is that black folk in this country, before the podcast started, you were like, you go on vacation and, as you put it, you meet black folks who were like, they don't have the same sort of like worldview about police, what have you. But I would say in general, like, black folks can come from different walks of life, but sort of commiserate about, even if they didn't come from the same socioeconomics, they came from the same view of the minority. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The house being black where you're from. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and there's certain general ways you get treated, waiting in line in front of a club, or being followed around in stores, or what you see on TV and knowing shit ain't fair.
Right.
That, like, it's like a shorthand. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know how this shit gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's interesting. But you know what's funny is, like, my first, I would say, interpretation, or what do you call that? Impression. Like, my first impression of you was just like, maybe you were a funny dude, maybe not that bright. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, like, the more, like you and I ended up being friends on Facebook, and I realized, like, you know what I'm saying, you're a pretty smart dude. Like, you're comical with shit that you post or what have you, but, like, you actually, you know what I'm saying, do delve into, like, what the issues are, what have you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, what's interesting to me is that you didn't necessarily come from, like, a total place of lack. Like, you didn't grow up in, like, the hood.
Right.
Like, in total deprivation, but you still have a sense of, like, wokeness, as, you know what I'm saying, as people say.
So even part of my area, though, had rough areas, too, and my dad lives in that side. And so I had to, that's where I got my ass
whooped growing up. You got your P's and Q's. You had to be on your square.
You know. But here's what's crazy. I tell you all the time. You could drive around in my area back home, rolling up, smoking a blunt in the car with no tents or nothing. But if you do that around my dad's area, you were getting pulled over, immediately searched. They might hit you. And they might even be black cops for real. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
But Maryland, so, like, Maryland, Virginia are right there, and Virginia's so racist. You know what I'm saying? That, like, like, the Virginia penal system, it's like there's not even parole there. Like, you just do your time, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's, you know what I'm saying? There's no probation. So, you know, like, being next door to Virginia and, like, West Virginia, like, it's crazy how just, like, I mean, D.C., Maryland, right, and Virginia, like, those three are close together and lumped together, but they're pretty varied, you know what I'm saying? As far as one being mostly suburbs, one being mostly city, and one being sort of, like, half rural and really old school when it comes to their racism.
Right. It's getting better though, you know.
Did you see the profile picture I put on Facebook? Chris Rock quote.
Which one?
Chris Rock was on Hot 97, and they were asking him about Trump or whatever, and he was like, you know, for black people, kind of doesn't matter who the president is. You know,
right.
He's like, black people are going to do better under Trump than they did under Reagan, because for black people, the future is always better.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, I did see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say, you know, as far, you know, politically, like, I know around election time, a lot of people, like, a lot of friendships were lost over the election.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Yeah, I lost a couple of Facebook friends that I knew in real life that I went to high school with. My high school was pretty mixed for 2 years. It was like,
were they Trump supporters?
A couple. One of my boys, he's like a real Christian Southern dude, like has a lot of guns and like makes jerky. And I know he's not racist. The kid used to like follow me around in high school. Like, he's one of the only white kids in my school. Like,
he's a
one of
dude.
The only white kids.
Right.
And so I know he's not. He's lived all over. I mean, he's like in Mississippi, I think. And that motherfucker hates me now because I'm like, yo, you can't even back this shit up, bro. What are you saying? And he's like, can't we all just get along? After you get to a point where you're like, yo, your candidate's racist.
You know something, like, I'm of it's like I parse the thing like many different ways, because there were people. First of all, I live in New York, right?
Right.
Hillary won New York by like 80%. Right? And it's people dead ass pissed that I didn't vote, right?
Oh, you didn't vote?
No.
Oh shit! You telling people that you over here just painting a target on you? Can I get the bright red paint, please?
No. Like no. So let's be clear about this, right? Yes, voting in general is important, right? I think the fact that like, what is it, 55% of people don't vote, like some crazy number, like 50%, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say to be safe, like half of people don't vote in this country, like half of eligible people don't vote, right? That's probably a bigger problem. And based on polling, if everybody voted, Democrats would always win. But my big contention, and I'm not the only person, is that essentially black people have not had a choice about who to vote for in general elections for a long period of time. So Bill Clinton is the one who did welfare reform. Right, who kicked like single mothers off of welfare and they had to go work at Wendy's while their kids were cutting up at home, right? Who implemented mandatory minimums, right?
Yeah.
So like the for-profit prison industry, all this shit like blew up under Clinton, and it was business as usual. You go back and forth, Republican, Democrat.
You think they intended it for it to go the way it went? Or it was just a byproduct?
So I think there's a couple things. The people in black communities didn't necessarily know the long-term effects of being tough on crime. But like if you were, let's say you were a 55-year-old woman, right? And we're in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So crack hit hard, what, like in the 80s?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, like you remember being in thriving black neighborhoods, right? Before, you know what I'm saying? Like there were like fits and starts with heroin and mob and this and that, but it wasn't to what crack did. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't to that extent. So when you see this and you see the crime, you see the murders, and you see like the crimes that happen because people are trying to get drugs, right? You're like, okay, you want a better police presence, you want less crime, you want your grandkids to be able to go to school safely.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, like, he was doing the will of the people.
Right.
But in another sense, it was the Republicans are tough on crime. They are whooping our ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
By stoking up fear of the black man, right?
Right.
Even people in the inner city are afraid of crime. If I'm like a compassionate conservative like these Republicans are, if I say I'm going to be tough on crime, right? While talking inside of a black church, I can win votes, right?
Right.
And I can get this money.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm like, I'll use a...
So you think it's more so about money, not really about harming black people?
I think the Clintons are completely motivated by money and power. Money's not as important as power, right?
Wildly enough, that's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I'm just befuddled every time I see like a real Hillary Clinton supporter commenting on how progressive she is and how she would have been a great president. I get it. Donald Trump is a 7-year-old who can't string a sentence together and he's not capable of rational thought. But to me, like getting Trump is like pulling off a Band-Aid, right? Like,
how is he still in office, bro? When I got here this last night, I thought it was a dream. I read Trump gave classified information to Russia.
Yeah. As
the president.
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't that mean you need to be killed?
No. Well, I think
Eric Snowden type of situation or something.
You know something, like, I think now we live in a time of like headlines, and I didn't dig too deep, but what I think it was that, first of all, you shouldn't have been having a conversation in the Oval Office with this Russian ambassador or whatever, but it was like he was bragging about something, and through his bragging, he mentioned like, we just got this new Boeing 757
with super bulletproof doors.
Right. So it's like through what he usually does, brag, he released like classified information. But what I would say is, I look at Trump, and as you know, most of these people are figureheads, right? I think Trump like the GOP can use Trump to get their the shit, because they've been wanting to do all this shit for years. Like put somebody who hates education at the head of the Department of Education. Put somebody who hates the environment.
Are these all programs that Democrats made or something? Like, is that why they're doing
the EPA, like all, you know what I'm saying? Like Democrats care about education, women's health care, the environment, right? All these the arts, all these things. And Republicans have been trying to tear these programs down for decades.
Right.
So under Trump, basically they're pushing all this shit through. And I feel like as soon as he served his purpose or becomes too politically disadvantageous to support him, they're going to drop him like a rock.
But do we even want that?
You know something, man? Like,
because you know who's up next, and that motherfucker.
The reptile, Pence?
Yeah, is, you know, so.
No, so the way I look at it is like, you know, I know, you know, I mentioned I didn't vote, and
yeah, you wild for re-mentioning that too. Fuck it, let's talk about that. You try to get the pitchforks,
bro. But you know,
what is your reason behind that?
Kaepernick caught a lot of flack for not voting, right, and being public about it, and I feel like people use that as like as a way to scapegoat a lot of the bullshit reasons they didn't like him. But Killer Mike, he said that black people should demand something for their.
Oh yeah. That's a great fucking point. He made a great point. That guy is very intelligent.
Right. So and you know he calls himself like more of a libertarian, but you know, Killer Mike plays the game. Like that's something I don't do well, is play the game. So Killer Mike was on Bill Maher like a few days ago. Yeah. And you know he can't stand Hillary Clinton, just based on shit he said in the past, right?
Right.
But he's like, Bill Maher starts defending Hillary Clinton, and Killer Mike doesn't say shit about Hillary Clinton, right? Mm-hmm. But he's wearing a T-shirt, and a black T-shirt with white letters that says "Kill Your Masters." On some, who's the dude?
He wore that to the show.
What's the movie about the dude who overthrew his plantation? Birth of a Nation,
yeah,
right?
Birth of a Nation.
Like he's wearing some like revolutionary shit on the show. It says "Kill Your Masters," and you see what I'm saying? So he's sending like a wink to the people who are revolutionary and woke, and towing the line at the same time.
Is he played it as a pun? You think of like a master's degree or something too, or like what you?
What do you mean?
The word masters.
Nah,
he straight up meant master, slave masters.
I think the fact, like, I don't think you're right. Like, I think he didn't have to really say shit because, like, it's self-explanatory. But I find that interesting. There's black folk who know how to play the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. Like, as far as your comedy is concerned, do you get pretty political on stage?
The show that brought my hiatus on the stage, I brought up that, and I don't really want to. Not necessarily I don't want to, but I'd rather be like D.L. Hughley with it than like Chris Rock, I guess, because Chris Rock is a lot more serious, and I like to see someone else do that, but I don't want to be that guy.
So D.L. Hughley, well, how so? Like, dig into that a little bit.
His older skits where he would bring up like a politician or something who did all these harsh penalties on cocaine, but then got caught with coke. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like he brings a lot of funny stories like that. But as far as this whole like, you know, bringing up like Black Lives Matter and blah blah blah, like I definitely do that, but like on forums like this, you know what I'm saying? Not like on stage when I'm trying to like, because like I've met a lot of people around the world, and some people are like, I know, fuck, we all had some shit. Like, I get it, black people, and I understand where they're coming from, because like sometimes I deal with people that are just always bitching about something. Right. You know what I'm saying? And there are situations where you're just like, I'm like, yo, I wish I could go back in time and tell all the black people to move out of the fucking hood. I get it. You can't, no, foreclose on that house. You can't move out the hood. Just find a way to get out the areas where they're oppressing you. It's a fucking area. All of it. Every place is an area that they all just You know what I'm saying? It's like where they come to fucking oppress us.
No, but you know something.
And like
you know,
spread.
Listen, I don't want to
amongst
be.
them.
I don't want to be like Dr. Umar right now and be like, what is it? Conditioning has been conditioned, right? Like I don't want to be on
Right.
some like super woke shit. But if you look at, because I know I listen to podcasts sometimes, and like the host would, like the guest will say something, and the host sort of doesn't challenge it because like they just want to be like cordial or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
no, challenge. Yeah.
But no, it's not even about challenging you, but for the sake of like information, ghettos aren't here by accident, right? So
exactly.
right, you had like redlining. Okay, so
Fuck yeah.
No, let's go even further back, right? The white middle class was manufactured out of whole cloth. There was no white middle class in this country. The way they got a white middle class was, remember there was the Great Depression or whatever, and you know, robber barons and all that shit, and they were out of control. But like with FDR on the New Deal, they started taxing rich folks 70. The highest marginal tax rate was 90%.
Right.
Right. So this shit we have now, where it's like 35%, they're trying to lower it to 15 and bring the corporate tax down. When America was like creating jobs and a leader in the world and all this shit and freedom or whatever, like the golden age of America, the highest tax rate was 70 and 90%. That's how they built these bridges and museums. And
How could you give somebody 90?
because 3 pieces of candy cost a penny, right? And Rockefellers made like 20 million back then. You see what I'm saying? So like all this shit we have now, where it's like capital gains and all that, where you get taxed 14%. That shit did not exist. They taxed the fuck out of rich people.
Right.
And what they did with that money is like soldiers came home from World War II and they gave them GI bills, right? Like go to college for free. They gave them grants and subsidized loans and basically built.
So what happened to all that?
All right, wait, let me finish this. Like, you know, Chris Matthews, he's on MSNBC, and Paul Ryan is in Congress, right? These dudes grew up in middle-class white towns that were just manufactured. Like Levittown, right? It was just a white town that black people were not allowed to live in, that the government gave people like either like free loans or grants or whatever to live in.
Yeah.
So they basically took like poor ass white people from tenements or people working in coal mines or people whatever.
Right.
I mean, obviously the economy was booming after World War II. There was plenty of jobs to be had. But they took people and created these towns. That's when they expanded the suburbs and built roads out into these little bumfuck places.
Right.
And these suburbs that were white only, right? They developed out of that, right? So that's how the white middle class came about. Now, the reason why black people live in ghettos is because the redlining laws made it so black people were not allowed to buy homes in certain areas.
Right.
So when you have the education system funded by the property taxes, and you have, so that means the richest neighborhoods have the best schools, and then you have black people only allowed to buy in certain places, that means the best of the blacks and the worst of the blacks all got to live in the same place.
Right.
Right. You add to that the fact that the police were there to protect whites and police blacks, and that our communities were underserved in many ways. Like, black people had to come out of slavery, come out of Jim Crow, right? Come back home from the war and do the best that they could with, you know, not being able to get good bank loans, not being able to get good jobs, not being able to join unions. So these ghettos, it wasn't that like black people move someplace and it becomes a ghetto. It's that black people were forced into certain places in this country.
Right.
And so there's a great book about this called Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? And he says essentially black people were plundered, right? So black people were taxed without being able to get the services from the municipal and the federal government that whites got. So whites got the benefits of black people's tax dollars without having to kick in for like the potholes to be fixed in the black neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera.
Jeez.
Right? So
That's some racist ass shit right there.
How old were you when Hurricane Katrina happened?
Shit, I was in high school. Yeah, that was, what year was that? 2006, 7? What year was that?
I'm not sure.
8. Yeah, Lil Wayne's. I remember his mixtape.
Carter 2 or something.
The drought. one of those with the Georgia song. Georgia.
But anyways,
Bush.
Hurricane Katrina, like the black folks didn't leave, right? And people said like, why didn't they leave? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and it was because like they didn't have no car. Like black people had cars that could barely get them to and from work that would overheat in the highway, right?
Yeah.
Black people literally could not leave. Like they couldn't afford a bus ticket, plane ticket, and their car wouldn't get them out of the state. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk though. I don't think the world like knew that shit was going to happen. Had we had seen pictures of that before it was going to occur, I'm pretty sure niggas would have got the fuck. Like, but I remember when my girl at the time went to Xavier, and they got evacuated. And
was she an athlete or just a student?
Nah, she just was like smart.
Okay.
But she was mad as shit at me for like not caring that much about it. And I was like, I mean, I seen it on the news, but it's not like the newscaster's like, yo, you're gonna fucking die. Get the fuck out of New Orleans. The levee's gonna break, bruh. Get the fuck out.
True.
They were just like, yeah, it's gonna be one of the worst storms we've ever seen in the history of whatever. And they're like, we survived fucking racism. You think a fucking rain is gonna get us? Like,
right.
I totally get it, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, man, it's that shit was messed up. Ugh. Like black celebrities I swear would have been like Akon would have done something, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Had we known that
was possible.
Yeah, like I don't think nobody knew. Like I think even the president, he was like, damn, we should have did something.
You know something? I think that people weren't as pissed off about people not getting out or there not being like as much pressure on them to get out as they were the response after the fact. You know what I'm saying? But like, okay, so if you don't, you mentioned D.L. Hughley. To me, D.L. Hughley's like when he's not on stage, he seems angrier than a motherfucker.
Yeah,
like he's on some Paul Mooney angry type shit.
Yeah, but when he's on, he makes it funny on stage. Whereas the other comedians, like Dave Chappelle, his last joint was a little more serious than he usually is. He's getting older, so I understand you changing your stuff.
My favorite part, he dropped 2, right?
Yeah.
My favorite part was, I don't know, it's never happened. Maybe you could suck my dick a little bit.
A little bit.
But
yeah, it was good.
No, so D.L. Hughley's angry as fuck off stage, and like when he goes on like social media, right? I've seen him in person. Like he seems like a pretty chill dude. To me, like Paul Mooney kind of like only talks about race.
Yeah.
And some of his shit's funny, but in sort of it's just like kind of like hateful. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Right?
But you gotta show a guy like that empathy. You gotta understand. Like I could totally understand, like that James Baldwin quote: "To be conscious and black in America is to live in a constant state of rage." Some shit like that. That is so fucking true. Like, if there's a story of a black guy walking down the street punching white people on the news, I wouldn't be surprised because I'm like, he might have just read some shit. You know what I'm saying about it, like 50 years ago.
You know something? It's like, I think one of the biggest reasons why this shit is polarizing is from the standpoint of like, if that happened, right? If a black guy was just fed up with racism and goes and starts punching white people.
Just starts Beanie Siegel on Paper Soldiers, knocking them out.
Have you seen Michael Moore's, Michael Moore did the documentary called Where to Invade Next.
I didn't see it. No, I did.
Right.
I know you're talking about that.
So he went to every like country, like he went to a bunch of European countries that had better shit than us, like better schools, better prisons. He went to like North Africa and they had more women's rights, like all that shit, right? In Germany, they actually like teach kids in school about the Holocaust and like they have to take ownership of it and they have like museums about it and you know what I'm saying? But in this country, it sort of gets swept under the rug.
Right.
So it's like, I feel like, as you said, there's black folks who aren't really conscious, who don't feel like they're targeted by police, who don't feel a lot of things, right? But I think we have a failure to communicate in that there's white folks who just they don't want to talk about race, and they feel like if you don't talk about it and make it a thing, it won't be a thing. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because racism doesn't exist for them unless like a minority talks about it or some liberal talks about it in their mind.
Who wants to talk about some fucked up shit they did last week? You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
that.
But like, here's the other thing. I think I stole this quote from somebody, but I think so the quote is, "You don't have to burn crosses to be racist."
Right. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great. You ever seen College Humor on Facebook or anything?
Yeah, they make little skits.
Actually, you should play it so you can react to it. But
What is it?
it's called Diet Racism. Oh, so I feel like this seems strange because there's like a duality about it. Like, I see people as people, right? Like,
Right.
had you grown up with a dad, like you know Stephon Marbury's story, like his brother.
Nah, he's crazy. No, he's not crazy, but he's.
But anyway,
expressive.
As a kid, his brothers just had him playing basketball. Like his brothers played like college ball, and they just had him playing basketball and drilling and getting better like every single second of every day. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, had you had two brothers who had played like Division I basketball or some shit, you'd be like AAU All-Star. You know what I'm saying?
Hell
Like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
right. So I feel like people are just a product of their genes and their environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's different spectrum of like wokeness for white folks. You know what I'm saying? Or being conscious about like what's going on.
Very big spectrum.
Right. So I think if you're gonna talk about race on stage, for instance, or politics, like, you gotta be able to find the irony. Like, one of the biggest reasons why jokes from Republicans don't go down well when they're about race or politics is because they're not funny. I'll give you an example. Okay, so Tracy Morgan was on.
Oh, we supposed to play that thing where.
Oh, not Tracy. Patrice O'Neal. Oh yeah. Diet racism. Patrice O'Neal was on Opie and Anthony's show, right, with Louis C.K. And you know, Patrice O'Neal could have been like a bit of a jerk, right? But he's like, he was like telling the history of the word kike. He was like, you know how they came up with the word kike? When Jews came over on Ellis Island, they used to sign with a circle, and a circle is like the Yiddish word, a German word is keikel, so they shorten, they call it kike. And Louis C.K. is like, oh, interesting. You know how they came up with the word nigger? And Patrice O'Neal was like, no, how? He's like, one day there was just this guy being a nigger. Right? Like, no, but like, if you don't get like, it's like.
Wait, Louis C.K. said?
Right. But listen, if Louis C.K. had just said that shit sitting on the back of his pickup truck drinking whiskey, that would have been some racist shit that wasn't funny, right? The fact that was his response to Patrice O'Neal's bullshit, and the fact that it was so over the top is what made it funny. What made it?
He's wild,
right? Let's check out diet racism, and I think the diet racism thing is like, that's what the majority of racism that like people in cities deal with.
Diet racism. Which one do I?
It's College Humor. Diet racism. No, diet racism. Wait. My man's brave. He not looking up no crazy shit on YouTube. Kind of racist. Try diet racism. That's it right there. 6.9 million views.
Damn.
If there's a black entertainment network, should there be a white entertainment network?
Do you say sort of racist stuff, but stop short of saying the N-word? Enjoy the refreshing taste of diet racism. The same sweet ignorance of regular racism, but with none of the guilt or self-awareness.
You know I'm not racist, but I would never date an Asian guy.
Diet racism. Because you're afraid of blacks and Latinos, but you'd never say that out loud. It's the perfect beverage for people who don't directly contribute to oppression, but have strong opinions about how other cultures should handle it.
Stop oppression being a problem if you got nothing to hide.
For that. Hey guys, I'm from College Humor.
That last piece was apropos for you.
Right. That's hilarious.
Right? So,
Please, okay? Don't let the government tell you where you can and cannot click.
All right.
I've got
So,
some
like-
literature on the subject.
that's some like that skit, and that's one thing. It's like about good comedy writing. That skit was funny, even if you're a little diet racist, or if you're black. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're a Republican who hates liberals who are racist and pretend they're not. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's touching like everybody by poking fun at something in and of itself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where it's not like preachy.
Facts.
You feel me?
Yeah, I try to make little things like that when I write the little skits and stuff. I've written a couple that are revolve around race and stuff like that too. But it's like me and my boy from London. He's like from south of London, like 2 hours south of it, like a real country area
Right.
part, redhead, white dude. Sounds like he's from there 100%. And we go out and it's just different situations that happen. And so we're writing that right now. And we deal with race all the time. It's the majority about race, how situations are different for us. Like walking down the street with a beer, you know what I'm saying? Like it's wrong for both of us to do, but
Yeah, you don't.
the,
Like,
the
you get called
attention
on it.
definitely got pulled to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's funny the different situations we're into.
You want to talk about the thing that happened in Harlem?
Oh shoot, man! I'm outside. I got thrown in jail overnight.
God damn.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like
What part of Harlem was it? Like South Harlem?
I was on like 151st.
Damn.
Sitting. So I just finished working out, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just hit this little piece of a J before I hop in the shower.
Right.
So I sit on my porch where I sit every day, where everyone sits and smokes. Like I've met like 3 or 4 people there. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And this day was an old lady who came out and sat to the left of me, downwind, and I didn't want to be blowing the smoke all in her face. You know what I'm saying? So I got up, and I leaned on the stoop right next to her. You know, and I'd say about 2-3 minutes later, these 2 guys walk up dressed like regular dudes. There's, you know, like a Yankees dress. They're dressed like undercover cops in retrospect.
Right. They dress like they can pull the badge up from their chest.
Right. Yeah. So dude walked in and said, "Yo, is your weed in that blunt?" And then I'm like looking at him, and as I'm like moving my hand, he says it as I move my hand to my mouth.
Right.
And I look over to the right, and another guy just smacks my hand down. And then he grabs the back of my head and then throws me face first to the ground.
For a plant.
Yeah. And I'm like 6'5". So like on the way down, I'm literally thinking, do I get rich off this lawsuit and deal with my face for the rest of my life, or just tuck and roll and you know, and not sacrifice it? And I waited to the end.
But they'll hit you with resisting and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if they fuck you up, they're gonna say you reach for their weapon or something.
Here's what's crazy. So I tuck at the last minute, right?
Uh-huh.
Pissed I couldn't go through with it.
My man's an athlete. He was like making decisions
right
on the way down.
That was gonna be a good 2.5 million from the
My man's doing
NYPD.
calculations.
I already knew the lawyer I was gonna call it, everything. But now what ended up happening was I start bleeding everywhere because my hand, they fucked my hand up real bad.
Okay.
So after they don't even stop beating me up, till this white lady literally with a baby is rolling down the sidewalk. She's like, "Oh my God!" And she pulls her phone out, and I'm like, "White lady, record me, please." She pulls her phone out, and he's like, "Back the fuck up, man." I'm just like, "Yo, bro, why are you so aggressive? Like, what is wrong?"
Yo.
Like, I wasn't harming nobody. Why are we touching each other? Like, why are we even touching right now?
It was a brother or what?
These are Dominican dudes, bro.
Oh,
and the fucking white Dominican looking one.
Cuz.
Yeah, it was like a Dominican looking Dominican guy, and then like a white Dominican guy. And like, he was definitely not white, but he was definitely Dominican. But like, you know how
Protecting and serving.
Look.
That ass.
And I couldn't believe, long story short, the fucking, they don't even put that guy who beat me up on the police report. I had to fucking complain to the CCRB and get all that, to get them to find the officer and the system and all this other stuff. They were treating me with no respect in the station. I was the most educated guy in the fucking room. And I'm like, yo, y'all not gonna sit here and keep talking to me like I'm a fucking animal. Like, literally, were treating me like that in the fucking holding cell and everything. And then it was crazy. I didn't realize who I was amongst. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking these brothers are like me and you, who just all got fucked up today with some random shit. When we're reading off our highest level education and shit right before we get into the overnight cell, 2 niggas said middle school, bro.
Right.
And I almost cried. I was like...
You was like 12 years up in that motherfucker. He was like, niggas kidnapped you from violin practice.
My nigga, how are you alive? How did you... And then, yo, there was such wild shit I experienced inside of that shit. Like, there was only one other guy. He had did like 2 years of school in like Kansas or something, and he was just a scammer all the way. Like, he was laughing the whole time. He's like, yo, my uncle's a judge. Like, I'll be out tomorrow.
But you know what's funny to me is that you were, okay, so like you didn't grow up in New York, so you're not used to like getting fucked with by cops just for sitting on your stoop.
So they fuck with us around our way, but like it's more so they pull you over driving and fuck with you on the side of the road, and you just know you know how to. I done tucked and rolled and out so many cul-de-sacs,
byways and highways.
Yeah, you see him in your rearview mirror. You're like, oh, he's coming to get me. I already know. I done pulled in driveways that ain't mine and got out the car. So I walked to the front door.
You ain't the only one.
They just ride out of the street. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, my first car, I got it from an auction in Texas, right? I'm like 18, 19 at the time. I didn't know how to drive yet. So, and it was like a frame damage, so I had to get it fixed and I had to get certified.
Right.
So I'm driving this car. It looks fine with a Texas plate, right? That's no good. So basically no title, no insurance, no driver's license, no registration. Right?
Right.
And so I was at like a 4-way stop sign or something, and the cars were moving slow, whatever. And I saw a cop like, it was some which way direction. I can't remember now, but he just decided to like follow me or like go in the direction I go, but like a lot slower. So I didn't know necessarily if he was following. So I hit that corner, man. I'm running through stop sign. Ended up in a construction site hiding behind a house.
See,
and I was selling like bootleg CDs at the time. So you know,
they gonna get that ass.
No, what's funny is like, had I been caught for that bullshit and then murdered by the police later while on my way to school, like it would have been like, well, yeah, the criminal record. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like black folks get arrested 4 times. So they do weed at the same rates and get arrested at 4 times the rate, right?
Yeah, and I seen it in there, bro.
So then when you get arrested, when the police pull you over, fuck with you, right? And then make up some shit or kill you, it's like, oh, well, he had a criminal record. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's like, you know what I'm saying, problem solved. You feel me? But what's interesting to me about the way you told the story is like, you knew how to use your words. Like, you were thinking to yourself, yo, why are you being aggressive? Like, you're touching me.
Yeah, I was saying everything to those dudes. They were like, oh, you're smart. It's not, listen, bro.
No, that's the thing. Like, those dudes had like a complex, right?
Hell yeah, they did.
And I've been in situations like that. I remember it was one time, like, my sister wanted me to pick her up from the airport in her car. And she didn't have no change in there. Like, I thought she was going to be ready. So I ended up having to, like, pull into the parking space, but I was going to come right back out. But she missed her flight. She didn't even call me. Right? Dude, this cop acted like I said I was going to walk out of Walmart with a flat screen TV. Like, you know how much the thing was? It was like $1.50.
To leave it
to get out of the parking shit. Like, this dude was like dead ass going to try to arrest me. You understand what I'm saying? So, but the fact is, like, when they were stomping you was not the time to be smart. That was the time to play dead and not resist at all in case they were bystanders, right?
Right.
But when you're in this precinct and you're using your words, like, you approach it from that position because you know that you were being mistreated, right? But you talk about the hood dude who doesn't know how to use his words. He just is cursing him out like, you're always fucking with it. Like, you see what I'm saying? So he's escalating the situation in an aggressive way, whereas at least with you, they know there's going to be some recourse for fucking with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I made that apparent to them from the jump. I was using big ass words. I was looking bombastic as fuck in there. They were mad. And then, so 3 of them pulled me to the side because I was bleeding, right?
Right.
And so because I had to get medical attention, They had to figure out a story to
story.
say. So 2 different cops pulled me aside out of the cell to ask me. They were like, "Did you attack the cops?" And I was like, "No. Why the hell would I? Why? That is disrespectful as fuck to ask me, an educated black man, did you attack the fucking cop? No, you dumbass. Do you think I want to die?"
But you know what's funny is that if you had, like, you want to snitch on yourself, yeah, attack the cop. No, but you know what's funny is if you had any, like, if you had been in any shit, got caught shoplifting, you know what I'm saying? Like, hopping the turn, like, the shit could have gone bad for you. You see what I'm saying?
It did. I mean, it did go back. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But like, you could be the same person, but like with a different story, and that's I think that's the biggest jump that like black folks are trying to make in the media, is like Trayvon went to space camp, and see this kid Edward Jordan, who they killed in Texas recently.
I don't even know about that story, bro.
Dude, 15 years old, straight A student, all-star football player.
How'd he get, like, what happened?
There was a party. Police say they were called because of noise or something, right? And so, like, there was gunfire.
At the party?
To me, it seemed like there was gunfire when the police got there. But I don't know the particulars. But essentially, like, him and his friends left to get the fuck out of there. Cop, like, pulled alongside of him and shot him in the head with a rifle.
What, in the car?
Right, and tried to say that the car was backing towards them, but they charged the cop with murder because like the body cam, whatever, that tells a whole different story. But my point is, it's like, it's just one kid, because he had straight A's and a star athlete. They're not hitting him. Well, he was a thug. Let's find the most thugged out picture we could find. Like, he had 2 parents at home. You see what I'm saying? He was getting a great education, loved by the school, star athlete. But Trayvon went to space camp. The dude, like, smoked a joint, went and bought some Skittles and some iced tea. White kids do that shit all day.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's interesting how, like, and you know, that's one of the major reasons I do what I do with my photography, as far as showing us in like a glorious light, even if it's just visually. But also, it's important that we get to tell our stories through film and through the media, because there's so much like economic and media value behind vilifying us and making people fear us. Right. Keep prison stocks high, keep politicians in their seats, or what have you. And without an alternative narrative, like, that's the shit that gets perpetuated. You see what I'm saying? And
that's why I'm trying. Yeah, that's why I tell people, we need more black writers and stuff, bro. Because if we gonna get mad at the roads, like that Oscar shit pissed me off. The black people were bitching about that. I'm like, yo, all the stuff to complain about. Yeah, it was like the year before that.
Oscar so white, yeah.
And I'm like, yo, and Chris Rock made a great point. I think the first 50 Oscars or so were all white too, or whatever, before like black people were allowed to. You know what I'm saying? But like, yo, like, I don't understand why some of the battles, you know what I'm saying?
But let me ask you something. So what would you, I mean, in playing basketball too, like, you've been around different dudes. Like you say, like, you know, if you visited your father, you were in a certain element, you know, and where you lived was a different kind of area. So as black folks, we got to be able to walk between different crowds. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Because if you go into a hip-hop party in Cali or Miami, it don't matter. You're going to have educated brothers in VIP popping bottles. You're going to have some hood dudes in the VIP popping bottles. Right? So you got to be on your square in different environments. But, you know, what do you see as, like, I know there's a lot of problems facing the black community, but what do you see as like the major issues, or how do you
TV. Reality TV is the new slavery. I think I read that the other day. It's whoever the Mona chick is, she needs to retire or like pick something else or whatever. This Peter Guns shit, like, we can't have black people looking like that in the media. We just can't, like. Like, yo, bro, I don't even, like, I'm not even stepping to the level of saying don't be a fuckboy. I'm just saying don't let other people see. We can't afford that. We are 13%. Hispanic people overtook us as far as population. Like, we're like, You know what I'm saying? We can't be looking like that, you know? And that's the biggest threat, I think, because it's just perpetuating these fucked up stereotypes about black men and black people, this ratchetness on the, oh my God, the storylines are, it's entertaining,
well,
yes,
they literally,
but it's killing us.
What they do is they put the worst black people who can actually like afford a car payment on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's worse black people, but like they live in like in a trailer in the projects, like gelled up, you know, black gel in the back, gold grill. Like, there's worse black people, but they literally take like the most successful of the least educated black people they can find and put them on TV wall to wall.
Yeah.
But it sells.
That's the problem. Like, it's, why can't we have a show about a dudes just winning out here, like doing good business deals or something?
But you know what's funny is that it's literally like hood dreams. Like, they took, because, okay, so to be a rapper, like, you got to at least pretend to be like really making a lot of money. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they took like the people, like the least successful people who kind of have some fame, some Instagram fame, or Peter Guns was like a rapper back in the 90s, right? And they put like a huge spotlight on them. And it's like hood aspirations of like, well, if I get an Instagram following and like, you know what I'm saying, drop a little mixtape, I could be there too.
Yeah, it's just all bad. All of it is just, it makes me put my head down when I like, just like, bro, you got the whole world looking at you, looking like a fuckboy, bro. For how much you making? How much money are they giving you to look like this? It could be a movie. You should have just said it was a movie. Like, so you have some dignity, goddammit. Like, that shit is wild. It's reckless, and it sucks because they don't even get to choose how they look. You know what I'm saying? They have those producers have full, whatever the word is that starts with a P, over the material, and it sucks for them. Like, I almost got caught with that doing a show. They weren't trying to tell me the title of it, and then they sent the paperwork to someone doing the show with me, and I found out the real title of the show, and they're like trying to lie to me, and I was like, listen, I know you're lying to me, but I'll do it for like 10 grand instead of like the 1,500 for the pilot. I'll do it for, and they were like, no, we're not lying to you. And then I actually see the show come out, and then I sent the link back to the producers and was like, so you weren't fucking lying to me? And they never responded. But I'm just like, yo, why you trying to play me?
It's a dirty business, isn't it?
It's crazy.
But so let me ask you something. Like, as far as your trajectory in entertainment, like, are you trying to, you know, would you prefer to be able to make your money outside of entertainment, or like, are you really gonna try to push the comedy thing, or what?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna push the comedy thing because I want to use comedy to give me the clout that I need to get like roles in movies that are like that have a great image. You know what I'm saying? Like on some, like the guy from the Allstate commercial, the
fake Denzel.
Yeah, like the backup Denzel, that guy,
right.
Or even Denzel, you know. But that he's always looking as a man in power and whatever and blah blah. And so even when that translates off stage to when you walk into a room, like people respect what you're saying just because your character runs shit on 24. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's true. Like, okay. And so I want to do shit like that because I'm gonna step into politics when I get older on some Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Type stuff, and with the political connects that I have now, like I could even do what Donald Trump did. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I definitely am pursuing the comedy thing, but I don't want to make it so political because I don't want people looking at me like
branded
that.
in a certain way.
Yeah, like I want them to know me as the guy who's just it feels that we're having fun. You know what I'm saying? And then when you want to hear what I say because I'm funny, then I'm gonna hit you with some real shit. Yo, like shit's fucked up. We need to change it.
Right. You know, Al Franken, like. He was a funny-ass comedian. I think he was on Saturday Night Live and a stand-up. But that dude's like a serious-ass senator now. And it's like, you don't even look at him in that vein no more. You know what I'm saying? So if you take your shit seriously, people will take you seriously.
Yeah.
I think we're also living in a time now where, like, people want the real. They don't want, like, slick-ass politician who's, like, saying the right thing and points the thumb the right way and all that. Like, how do you feel about Obama?
I mean,
No, like honestly, like
I get it. It's literally my feeling. I'm not going because I got brothers around me that hate him for not being more black, and then I got people that
more
love what he's done
on the exterior, like obviously not physically, but like
why didn't he hold a press conference the minute he got in office and say, listen, shit is fucked up for black people in America. No, everybody repeat after me. Shit is fucked up for black people in America.
So your friends who feel that way.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you did a lot for everyone. So go you politician you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I would have been a little more hood with it. I definitely would have been a little more, especially on my remaining days. You could have pardoned the whole fucking prison system on some shit. Yeah, they might have put all the brothers back a few weeks later. But, yo, who cares anymore, bro? Like, you know what's fucked up, but he might have that mentality of some of the people I've met on vacation. So it's just like, some of those black people might put themselves in that situation, you know? Like, he might think like that.
Yo, tell me about these people you met on vacation. Give me one story, man, of somebody. Can you describe one person?
Like the one I was telling you about earlier.
Where are you going on vacation, number one? Like, where are you meeting these?
Oh, I'm about to go to Barcelona and then Ibiza. But, I mean, when you go to these resorts or like in Punta Cana or whatever, you meet people from all walks of life.
Right. If you meet a black person from Beverly Hills,
right,
who's like dad is a Hollywood executive or something like that, they never, you know what I'm saying?
They're disillusioned from real shit. Like I met some black people that really don't haven't experienced racism.
That's crazy to me.
If anything, they think they're better type shit because of because they're that rich or whatever, you know. And it's like, that's great that you feel like you have that self-confidence. Let's just get that to other people now. You know what I'm saying? But like, you gotta understand, shit is fucked up, and just because you don't experience it doesn't mean it's not occurring.
You know, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we seem like black folks who are conscious seem angry is like, wasn't it like a Harvard professor who got arrested on his own porch? Like he was in his house, his neighbor called because they thought somebody was breaking in. Some like Boston cop comes, argues with him. Says like, oh, just step out, just get your statement. As soon as he steps out the house, arrests him for breaking into his own house. And he's a Harvard professor. And then Obama comes, like Obama makes a statement. He had a beautiful, eloquent speech about race, touches all the buttons, whatever, right? And I think like he was lauded for the speech, but then I think he said like something about white people clinging to their guns and religion, and that's like the shit that like Republicans took out of context or whatever. Even though his grandfather's white, his grandfather was in World War II. You know what I'm saying? Like he's actually half white, so he knows these people. Yeah. So he's not speaking from a like us versus them. Obama really thought that, in my opinion, Obama really thought that he was going to be like the deal maker who found compromise. Or at least started, you know what I'm saying, the conversation in that direction. I think that what Obama knows, right, and what Obama felt that he could actually get accomplished once he saw how he was being obstructed were two different things. And I think mainly my biggest gripe with Obama is not that he didn't care about the Black Lives Matter movement or that he didn't think we need criminal justice reform or what have you. My biggest beef with Obama is that he cared too much about his legacy. And
in the sense that he just played it too safe?
Right. And that he did things on the margins and got progress in certain areas, right? But it's not just, and I look at it two ways. It's about his own personal legacy of like how he's viewed. But I think more importantly, Obama respects the office of the presidency, and he felt like his job was to do the job professionally with no scandal, so that the next person could come along and push the ball a little further. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to be Jackie Robinson.
Right, he had to be the Jackie Robinson.
Which is cool, but those last few months he could have been a little more. You know, what was that bill that he pushed through something that they blocked, and then they got upset. Congress got upset at Obama because he didn't explain it well enough. Oh,
that was that like so Iraq was able to sue us for like the war because it was like it opened like Obama was trying to block Abu Ghraib or some shit from suing or something. And then by the law passing, by the Republicans passing it, now Iraqis could sue America.
Right, for 9/11, and
They were so busy blocking him that they didn't even look at it.
right, like,
Right.
yo, that is racism right there. Because why'd you do it? Why'd you do it if you didn't want to do it? Tell me why you did it, bruh. Like, I want, like,
You know, I feel you, and I do think there are like people who are racist in Congress, but I think it has more. Like, I think people in Congress, a lot of them are educated, right? And they might be interested in keeping their power, but I think most of the shit that revolves around race is to shore up their base. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they come from a district that's historically racist or like votes against minorities, they'll be the proponent of something they don't really believe in because they don't have a backbone anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of the obstruction of Obama was based on racism, but not racism of the actual politicians, more racism of like how those politicians view their constituents. You see what I'm saying?
they're trying to impress the racist people.
Right.
Yeah, either way.
It put it in a simplistic way.
I don't understand why they, like, that shit. Like, why doesn't he say it? Like, I'd have been on every day. Yo, the reason they blocked my veto or whatever they did is because they're racist. He should have accused everyone of racism like Trump does. He should have had the headlines flaming like every other week. Obama accuses blah blah of being racist. Obama accuses blah blah. But yo, you in there already, bruh. Like, call him on it.
I think he wanted people to love him, man.
Yeah, he did. But they never gonna love you. You know what I'm saying? You got all you think you can do is be real with them, and they can respect that. White people know how to, like, the fucked up shit like that has gone on in the past. Like, so going into it.
You know something? Honestly, because I said honestly, like, I know the people who don't talk about race, like the white folks who don't talk about race. You know, somebody wrote this recently. I don't know who, but like the people who are over talking about politics and don't want to talk about race at all.
Right.
Some people are exhausted and just want to change the subject for a while. But it's also the case that some people live under a certain amount of privilege where race and politics is not on their radar.
Right.
Like, they're
Right.
doing fine. Like,
Right. As I was saying earlier,
I'm trying to like talk shit about Uber Pool about how my eggs were overcooked, and here's this lady over here talking about race. You know what I'm saying?
He's like, I don't want to deal with that.
Right. So like they don't have to deal with that shit. And,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
and so for me, like, personally, I wish it wasn't something that I wish the problems weren't what they are, but part of me looks at myself as like having a responsibility to make the world a little better,
Right.
in my own small way, and then part of me is like, man, we're all one.
I feel that. I feel like that. I do, but it's like, as long as you just know, because I got some white friends like that are just like, yo, bro, I'm fucking rich. I don't feel like hearing about that. Like, yo, are we gonna go get these bitches or what? Like, I get it, woke, woohoo, but I'll talk to the cops if they come. All right, like, can we go have fun now? You know what I'm saying? They're on that level of like,
I get it. I get it, man.
My niece just texted me.
It's probably a good place to end it. Right.
It was nice, yeah.
So, where can people find you on social media?
So my social media handles are You Gotta Feel Me, UGOTTA, and then it's a pun on my name, Phil, me.
Uh-huh.
So You Gotta Feel Me, and that's on Twitter and Instagram and everything else. I mainly use Twitter and Instagram though. Well, Instagram, Twitter, I love Twitter, but I don't use it as much as I used to. But I mean, Instagram's the shit for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Snapchat, You Gotta Feel Me. I forgot about Snapchat. Man, I'm trying to transition to like Instagram because it's a little more convenient, because Snapchat just kills all phone batteries.
Okay.
But like Snapchat is just, with their filters, they're good too. Those guys, they got an addictive app.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, that's it, folks. Make sure to check out theanythingshow.com. That's theanythingshow.com. And follow me on Instagram at theworldisamirror. Later.